If you've been looking at homes in Little Rock and you keep seeing the zip code 72209 pop up with prices way lower than everywhere else in the city, you're probably asking yourself one big question. What's the catch? Today, I'm going to break down everything you need to know about Southwest Little Rock, the neighborhoods inside 72209, and whether this part of the city could be the right fit for you and your family. We're going to cover the real cost of living here and what the schools and school zones look like. The safety picture neighborhood by neighborhood and what day-to-day life actually feels like once you move in. By the end of this video, you'll have a much clearer picture of whether 72209 fits your budget, your lifestyle, and your goals. So stick around because a lot of what people assume about this area is just not accurate. Before we get into it, I want to say this video is really for anyone who's actively thinking about buying, selling, or relocating to this part of Little Rock. I get asked all the time by people in the exact position you might be in right now, trying to figure out if a neighborhood like this makes sense for their budget, their commute, or their family, and just wanting an honest local perspective instead of a generic internet search. I personally actually live in this area, and this is what I do for a living is help people move to Southwest Little Rock or anywhere in Little Rock. If you're thinking about buying your first home here or even considering selling a property in 72209, reach out to me using the contact information in the description below. There's no pressure, no sales pitch, just a real conversation about your specific situation and what makes sense for you. Let's get into what you actually came for. All right, so let's start with the basics because 72209 covers a lot of ground and more variety than people expect. This zip code sits in the southwest quadrant of Little Rock, generally south of I 630, stretching out along I 30 toward the edge of the city. It includes several distinct pockets and subdivisions like Meadowcliff, Chicot West, Cloverdale Watson, and the stretch of neighborhoods along Baseline and Chico Road. Because it covers so much ground, 72209 isn't really one single neighborhood with one personality. Some pockets are quiet, established streets with mature trees and longtime homeowners who've been there for decades, and other pockets are more transitional with a mix of rental properties and owner occupied homes. That's actually one of the most important things to understand right out of the gate. When someone asks what's Southwest Little Rock like, my honest answer is which part, because there's a difference from block to block, and that can be significant. Next, let's talk about numbers, because this is usually the first thing people want to know. And it's also the biggest reason 72209 shows up on so many buyers' radars. As of the middle of this year, the median listing price for homes in 72209 sits right around 130, which makes it one of the most affordable zip codes in Little Rock. Homes here are typically staying on the market for a little over 2 months before going under contract, and you'll see everything from fixer-upper investment properties to fully remodeled move-in ready homes that list from 150 to the $200,000 range. That affordability is the number one draw for a lot of buyers. First-time home buyers who are priced out of areas like Hillcrest or Midtown, investors looking for rental properties with strong cash flow, and people who simply want more house for their money. But I always tell people affordability comes with homework attached. A lot of the inventory here is older housing built in the 1960s and 70s. So you'll want a thorough inspection. And you'll want a budget for things like updated HVAC systems, roofing, and electrical work if the home hasn't been renovated recently. Next, what are the schools like? This is probably the single second most common question, minus price, that we get about Southwest Little Rock. So let's talk about it directly. Most of 72209 falls within the Little Rock School District, and the flagship high school serving this area is Little Rock Southwest High School, which opened in 2020 as a brand new 400,000 square foot facility. It's very impressive. Modern classrooms, strong athletic facilities, and it absorbed the attendance zones that used to belong to a couple of the older magnet schools in the area. That said, I want to be straightforward. School quality and ratings can vary significantly depending on the exact elementary school and middle schools your specific address feeds into. So, if schools are a top priority for your family, this is not something to guess about. Before you fall in love with the house, look up the exact attendance zone for that address. And if you want, I'm happy to help you pull that information together so you know exactly what you're getting into before you make an offer. I feel like safety is really the main thing people worry about in this area. I think it does a disservice to viewers when real estate content ignores the questions people are actually worried about. Southwest Little Rock has historically had a mixed reputation, and like most larger zip codes in any city, crime stats and safety vary a lot by specific street and subdivision rather than being uniform across the whole area. What I recommend you doing, rather than relying on reputation, look at crime data for the specific block or subdivision you're considering, drive through the neighborhood at different times of day, and talk to neighbors that live there. Areas closer to baseline near the Southwest Community Center tend to feel different from some of the streets further out. This is exactly the kind of nuanced block by block insight that a quick online search isn't going to give you. And it's a huge part of what I help clients work through. So, what's the day to day lifestyle like? Because at the end of the day, that matters just as much as price in school. Southwest Little Rock has a diverse community with a strong mix of cultures, which shows up in the food scene. You'll find soul food spots and a variety of ethnic grocery stores and restaurants that you won't find in some of the other parts of the city. Specifically, you're going to find the best tacos in Southwest. For shopping and errands, residents lean on the outlets of Little Rock and several shopping centers along the main corridors, and most people find they're within 5 to 15 minutes drive of everyday things that you need. The Southwest Community Center on Baseline Road is a real neighborhood hub with a pool, fitness area, ball fields, and a walking trail that connects into the surrounding area. The city has also been investing in the Southwest Trail Project, a planned greenway that will eventually connect this part of the city to downtown, the Clinton Library, and the Arkansas River Trail, which is worth knowing about if walkability and outdoor access matter to you. It matters to me, so I'm super excited about that. So, what about commute and driving? If you work in downtown Little Rock or at UAMS, if you work at the River Market, your commute is going to be anywhere from 15 to 25 minutes, depending on traffic and exactly where you're starting from. Since both I-30 and 630 cut through or bordered the area and give you fairly direct access into the city core. If your job is further out, towards like West Little Rock or Chenal, that commute will stretch out a little bit more, and it's worth mapping your specific route before you commit to a neighborhood. Some common misconceptions I hear is people often talk about Southwest Little Rock as if it's one uniform area, when in reality, it's a patchwork of very different micro neighborhoods, and painting the whole zip code with one brush, good or bad, just isn't accurate. A lot of buyers assume that because prices are lower, they're automatically getting a worse deal or riskier investment. But for the right buyer, someone doing their homework, working with the local realtor, and choosing the right pocket, 72209 can offer some of the best value and long-term upside in the entire Little Rock market. So that's your honest ground level breakdown of Southwest Little Rock and the 72209 zip code. the pricing, the schools, the safety picture, and what daily life looks like here. If this was helpful and you're curious about how 72209 stacks up against some of the other affordable areas in the metro, let me know what area you're curious about, and I can make a video on that where I break down how it compares to this zip code or another one. If you're interested in buying or selling in Little Rock, my name's Aisha. I'm a local realtor here and I'd be happy to help you. You can find my information in the link below, and it's also in my bio. You can fill out a jot form there to let me know what you're looking for and how best to contact you.